Hi, I'm Jason Nickleby, Coordinator of Officials with the Minnesota State High School League. I'm here today to take you through an overview of the restricted area arc rule that was implemented by the Board of Directors. We have a few student athletes from Mounds View High School on hand to help us through these situations on how they will be officiated and coached this season. The restricted area arc rule is meant to limit collisions under the basket by prohibiting secondary offenders from taking a charge in the restricted area. To understand this rule a little bit better, we're going to go through the rules as they stand now as it relates to guarding and verticality and legal guarding position so we can be more effective when it comes to this rule. Okay, so here's an example of guarding, and this player has established legal guarding position. There's no minimum distance. They just have to get to that position, and they have that right to that spot on the court. And to establish legal guarding position, we need to get 2 feet on the floor facing our opponent. After that, we can maintain it in a number of ways, but to establish legal guarding position, we need to have 2 feet on the floor facing our opponent, and then we have established legal guarding position. Okay, so we talked about establishing legal guarding position, 2 feet on the floor facing your opponent. Once you've done that, you can maintain your legal guarding position by doing a number of things. One, you can move backwards and maintain your position. So you have the ball handler is dribbling at the defender. He's moving backwards towards the goal. If we have displacement, contact through the defender, this will be an offensive foul charged to the ball handler. Another example of maintaining your legal guarding position is that you do not have to continue to face your opponent once you've established legal guarding position. So in this case, he's established legal guarding position, and now he's going to turn and brace for contact when the ball handler comes in. So he's dribbling, he turns and makes significant contact with the defender. If he displaces him and he has maintained legal guarding position, we would have an offensive foul. He does not have to continue to face his opponent. He can turn to brace for contact. Another example of maintaining your legal guarding position is you can raise vertically in your plane. So in this case, he's established legal guarding position. The ball handler is coming at him. He can maintain legal guarding position by jumping from the ground and going in a vertical plane. So in this case, the ball handler will dribble in. He jumps straight in the air. If the ball handler were to create contact into the defender who has risen vertically, it would be charged to the offense as a foul. The final way you can maintain legal guarding position is by moving obliquely. So in this case, he's established legal guarding position. He's facing his opponent. Now his opponent does a dribble drive to the basket. He can turn at an angle to maintain his position, assuming he beats him to that spot on the playing court and number 24 displaces the defender. That would be a charge to the offense if we have displacement contact. A separate aspect of the guarding rule allows the defender to put his arms in front of his or her body to brace for contact. So in this case, he's established legal guarding position. He's now going to move at an oblique angle to maintain that position, and then right before contact, number 24 makes contact with him. He is allowed to put his arms out in front of him or in front of his chest to brace for that contact. If he extends the arm out and displaces the offensive player, that would be a defensive foul. But in this case, he's established legal guarding position. He's maintained it. He can brace for contact by putting his arm or arms in front of his body. Okay, we're going to talk about the principle of verticality. And this rule talks about what the defender can do in their vertical space. So the rule says that they need to establish legal guarding position, and then thereafter all movement must be legal. So in this case, she's established legal guarding position, she's faced her opponent, and now she's going to shuffle to maintain that position. And then she can put a hand up or 2 hands up and maintain her vertical legal guarding position. The second part of the verticality rule talks about once you've established your legal guarding position and then you've moved to another position, you can maintain your legal guarding position by rising vertically in your plane. So in this case, she's established legal guarding position. She's going to drop step, 2 steps, and then she's going to jump in her vertical plane, and that is a totally legal maneuver for her to do. The third aspect of the verticality rule allows the player who's established legal guarding position to establish legal guarding position, move to another position, and then maintain it by either putting both arms or one arm in the air, either on the ground or in the air. So in this case, the defender's established legal guarding position. She drop steps, step, step, hand in the air, two hands, and jumps. All of this legal maneuvers by a defensive player. Another aspect of the verticality rule says that the offensive player can't displace or clear out the defender who's maintained legal guarding position. So in this case, she's established legal guarding position facing her opponent. She's now going to drop step to the basket, maintaining her legal guarding position, and then she's going to put a hand up in her vertical space and jump vertically. In this case, if number 10 were to clear out or put his shoulder into the chest of the defender and clear her out, that would be a foul charge to the offensive player. Another aspect of the verticality rule doesn't allow the defender to belly up on his opponent, even if he's established legal guarding position. So in this case, he's established legal guarding position, he's facing his opponent, drop step, and now he's going up for a shot. He can't stick his stomach into the opponent and violate that vertical space. If he does that, that would be a blocking foul charge to the defender. The restricted area arc is a 4-foot arc and 4-foot area, so it only extends to this point on the floor in a 4-foot radius underneath the basket. It does not extend all the way to the baseline. A secondary defender is only in the restricted arc if they are on or over the line. So in this case, she's standing on the restricted area arc line, which means she is in the restricted area. If she puts her feet on her toes, up on her toes, so see how her feet are over the line, this is considered in the restricted area. She would need to be completely outside, so if we could move our feet completely on the ground outside the restricted area arc, this would constitute being outside of the arc. If you're on or over, you're considered in the restricted area. As I mentioned previously, the restricted area arc does not extend all the way to the baseline. So in this case, we have a ball handler. He's going to go past the primary defender towards the basket. Secondary defender, number 10, is going to come over to try to take a charge. Notice that the contact took place when number 10's feet were below the restricted area arc line. This play would fall under regular block charge guidelines and regular legal guarding position rules. So this, if there was enough contact for number 24, would be an offensive foul. A secondary defender is defined as a player who helps the primary defender once they've been beaten. A primary defender is considered beaten once the ball handler gets his head or her shoulders past the defender. So you see in this example that his head and shoulders have passed the primary defender. That means if we have a secondary defender who is coming to play help defense, he must establish legal guarding position, if he's grounded, outside of the restricted area. So in this case, the ball handler is coming to the basket. If we had significant contact here, displacement contact, notice he's grounded in the restricted area. This would be a blocking foul on number 10. A secondary defender is also considered someone who double teams on a low post player. So in this example, we're going to have a primary defender and a ball carrier, ball handler. He goes to the basket. He pivots into a secondary defender who comes down to help double team on a low post. If significant contact is made, displacement contact with number 10, who is grounded in the restricted arc, it would be a blocking foul on number 10 because he is considered a secondary defender by rule because he is double teaming on a low post player. In an offensive rebounding situation, assuming that the offensive rebounder takes the ball immediately to the basket, we would not have a secondary defender by rule. That defender would be primary, which means all guarding and legal guarding position verticality rules would apply. So in this situation, we have the ball handler who goes to the basket against the primary defender, secondary defender number 10. He takes the shot and it misses. Assuming he gets the ball and goes to the basket immediately, Number 10 is now considered a primary defender, and all regular guarding, legal guarding position, and verticality rules would apply. So if number 24 were to play through number 10, who's established position, even though he's grounded in the restricted area, this would be an offensive foul on number 24. Another aspect of the secondary defender rule says that if you have an odd person break, so in this case a 2-on-1 fast break, this defender is considered a secondary defender by rule. So in this case we have an odd person break, passing the ball back and forth across the court, which is pretty common. See number 24, he is considered a secondary defender by rule, and if we had displacement contact with him grounded in the arc, that would be considered a blocking foul on number 24. If he is able to establish legal guarding position against this ball handler, even in an odd person break, he is now able to maintain this position all the way into the arc, and now if we have contact, regular legal guarding position and verticality rules would apply. As we mentioned previously, a secondary defender cannot establish legal guarding position in the restricted area for the purpose of taking a charge. So in this particular case, we have a ball handler against a primary defender. He gets his head and shoulders past the primary defender. Here's the secondary defender. He must get all the way out of the restricted area when contact is made in order to draw an offensive foul against number 24. Now, if the contact occurs while he is grounded in the restricted area, so in this case he's grounded and we have displacement contact by 24, now that would be a blocking foul charged to number 10. Number 10 can rise vertically to maintain or try to block a shot, maintain his verticality, and now regular verticality rules would apply. So we have a secondary defender, number 24 comes in, he jumps to try to block a shot. In this case, if 24 plays through number 10, that foul would be charged to the offense. The secondary defender rule is primarily to keep secondary defenders from drawing charges while grounded so that we don't have injuries or collisions under the paint. In this case, we have a ball handler with a primary defender, and he's going to beat the defender to the basket. Secondary defender comes over. Notice he is grounded in the restricted area, which means that if we have displacement contact, it would be a blocking foul on number 10. Except in this case, number 24 would extend his arm up into the chin or some other unnatural move. This could be charged as an offensive foul to the offensive player. Another aspect to the secondary defender rule says that even if the secondary defender gets his or her feet in legal guarding position outside of the restricted area, he still has to maintain legal guarding position, and he can't do unnatural moves that would constitute a foul. So in this case, the ball handler gets by the primary defender. Notice that the defender gets outside of the restricted area arc, but then he initiates contact into the offensive player, or he bellies up with the offensive player coming outside of his vertical plane. That would still be a blocking foul charged to number 10, even though he's maintained or obtained position outside of the restricted area. If a ball handler discontinues his or her continuous motion towards the basket, a secondary defender would now become a primary defender. So in this case, the ball handler beats the initial primary defender. He sees that the secondary defender has come over and helped defense. He turns away from the basket and now returns to the basket to try for goal. If significant displacement contact is made in this case, even though number 10 is grounded in the restricted area, this would be a player control foul on number 24. For our officials mechanically, our primary look for our lead officials will be the paint. So our lead officials who are in this position here on the baseline, their primary look is the secondary defender because they can see whether the secondary defender establishes legal guarding position outside of the restricted area or whether they're grounded in the restricted area. So in this particular example, we have a ball handler who gets by the primary defender. Secondary defender comes over and is grounded in the restricted area, and we have displacement contact on the offensive player. In this case, the lead official, who should have this as a primary, will call a foul, and the proper sequence is fists in the air, block, and then point at the restricted area. If it's not a restricted area play, we should not use the point signal, but in this case it is a restricted arc play because the defender is grounded. Therefore, we should have that mechanic of fist, block, point at the restricted area. Now in this example, the ball handler will get by the primary defender, secondary defender will come over and establish legal guarding position outside of the restricted arc, and then we have displacement contact by the offensive player. So we'll have the ball handler come to the basket, secondary defender gets outside the arc, and we have displacement contact. If that is the case, we would have an offensive foul on number 24. So our officials should have a fist in the air followed by a punch forward. That's the mechanic we'll be using for an offensive foul. In this example, the ball handler will beat the primary defender. Secondary defender will come across on help defense. He will establish legal guarding position. So he has 2 feet on the ground facing his opponent. Then he maintains that position by retreating backwards, which he can do by rule. He will retreat into the secondary area, the restricted arc area that is, and there will be displacement contact by the offensive player with the defender in the restricted area. This play falls under regular guarding, verticality, and legal guarding position rules, which means this would be judged as an offensive foul, assuming he maintains legal guarding position.
To close, I want to emphasize that the lead official is the primary calling official for restricted area arc plays and legal guarding position of the secondary defender. But the center and/or trail official can provide information that the secondary defender is either in or out of the restricted area, but the lead is the primary calling official for these plays. I want to thank Mounds View High School, the activities director Jim Galvin, and their student athletes for assisting us with this project. Hopefully these play scenarios and situations that we outlined in this video will be helpful in understanding legal guarding position, verticality, and then ultimately the restricted area arc plays. This rule was put in place to provide safety for players by limiting collisions under the basket. Hopefully this rule will have that intended effect. If you have any questions or concerns about how the rule should be coached or officiated, please reach out to your activities director or regional coordinator who can provide feedback, and we will be in touch with coaches and officials throughout the season as it relates to interpretations that affect these rules. With that, have a great 2018-19 basketball season.